Hello, everyone. How is everybody doing? Woo! Alrighty, let's go. Yes, very exciting. I'm me personally. I'm starting to really love this format because it just feels more legit. So that means I also put in more, more preparation. Last time before the talk, I went to the beach, just went swimming, tanning for 2 hours, and today I was just at the spa 2 hours before. So life is good, life is good. But it's also related to what we're going to be talking about today, right? At the end of the day, many of our events and our talks are around business, right? But there's a very important personal side to business, to be able to show up as your best self, to be able to make an impact in other people's lives. And that's what we're going to be talking about today. Before we get started, today's talk is going to be around 1 hour long. We're going to have 20 minutes of Q&A where you can ask as many questions as you'd like within the 20 minutes. So make sure you ask at the beginning and don't wait until the end. It's like, I don't know if I should, and then the time is going to be up. And very important thing about today is that this is going to be a dialogue, right? I'm going to be directing questions towards specific people. But if at any moment any of you feel like, actually, I have this different point of view, right? Please. Okay, let's make this a discussion. And this is actually also the magic of the expert panels. We have 4 different people with many different perspectives, different backgrounds, different expertise. And this is exactly how we're going to be able to deliver the maximum amount of value possible. Okay? I'll also be cutting you guys off if it gets too long. And also, I would love to give 3 special shout outs today. The very first one is to Aticco, the provider of this space. Aticco is co-working, they do co-living, but beyond that, they are an ecosystem for innovators, for startups, okay? And they have been really, really nice to provide us a space. I think there may even be some Aticco people in here as well. The second one is Peel Creative, the people behind the camera raising their hands. They are the magicians recording every single one of these panels that we're going to be doing. They are the ones responsible for uploading the whole thing onto YouTube, making sure that we can just share the value that is going to be shared here today with many more people. We actually just posted the first one on our new YouTube channel. I got 250 views, which is crazy. Hopefully this one will get at least 1 million. No pressure. Come on, we need to aim, and then if it's not, we can do whatever. And the last thing is Earth Secret, the new sponsor for Charisma. They are a natural supplements company. I started taking them a few weeks ago, and it's almost like going to the sauna or the spa today, right? It's one of these things that just gives you that extra push, right? And I love how everything in it is just completely natural. And yes, everybody also, you'll be hearing more about it soon, but everybody will be getting some nice discounts to it as well. And before we jump now into the real juice, we've all been going to our meetings, stressing, thinking about this and that. Many of us rushed here. We're a little bit sweaty. It's like, oh, it's Jesus Christ. And so I want us to just ground for a second. And normally I would do that, but today I have a few people that are way more expert than I am. So first things first, we're gonna do some very quick breaths with Matthias, and then we're gonna do some burpees with Abdel. Nah, just the first one,
Actually, pull up, but there's no bus.
Nice. Alrighty. So
Thank you. Welcome, everybody. So good to be here with you. Yeah, the breath, right? I think we have all experience with that, at least here on the stage, and probably some of you as well. So good to do that with you. So my name is Matthias, and I will guide you just into like a little breath work. And the important thing is when we exhale, what really relaxes our nervous system is when we actually let a sound come. And I was certainly shy when I did that the first time, and it can be a little bit weird, But I really invite you to embrace your sound today, because that really actually relaxes the polyvagal nerve as much. Maybe I'll talk about that a little bit later, what that means. But let us dive into that. So if you are wanting to do that, you can close your eyes as well and just sit comfortably in your seat. Rise your spine up as if there was a string attached to the back of your spine and the back of your neck. And rising into the power that you have, because we're all so powerful, and rising into that power by really lifting up, and then also resting into humility, into the being that you are, relaxing your shoulder muscles, resting into it. And then we're going to do 5 deep breaths. And when we inhale, we really inhale deeply into the stomach and then into the chest. We hold it for a couple of seconds at the top, and then we let go with that amazing sigh. So whenever you're ready, let us begin. So exhale completely, get completely empty, and then inhale into the stomach, deep inhale into the chest, and then hold your breath, hold it, and then let it go with a sigh. And then another one of these, so good, into the stomach, into the belly, into the chest, deeply, and hold it, and let it go with a sigh. And really, let us hear your voice. So a third one, into the belly, into the chest, hold and squeeze, and then let it go with a sigh. Beautiful. And another one, into the belly, into the chest, hold and squeeze. Yeah, really squeeze that energy into the head, and then let it go. And one last one, yes. Are we fucking amazingly relaxed already? Yes, we are. All right, into the belly, into the chest, and hold and squeeze up top. Yes. Let it go. Yes. Amazing. That's how magic breath is.
Wow, feels so relaxed.
Wow. Thank you. All right. Cool. All righty. So, time to get started. Time for the real juice. Today, we're going to be covering 5 topics. The first one is purpose and impact, right? Before we can really, think about how we can, show up as our best selves and all these kinds of things, it's really important to understand what's our purpose, right? What is the thing that we're truly aligned with, right? And who are the people we can really, where we can really make a difference in. Once we do cover that, we will go into leadership and emotional intelligence, followed by mental and physical health. After that, we're gonna go into stress management and nervous system regulation. We just did a little bit of that. Very, very important. It is somewhat connected to the mental and physical health aspect, but I think it goes a little bit more beyond, and I think it's a topic that really deserves a big spotlight because it can really make a huge difference in our lives. I mean, just look at how you just felt, right, after just doing these few breaths. And then finally, we're gonna go on and talk about how to balance your masculine and feminine energy, okay? And at the end of the day, all of these different topics are designed to make sure that you can show up as your best self, to make sure that as a leader or founder, you can truly become unshakable and balanced. Because it really doesn't matter, how much money you have and how many businesses you're building, if in the inside you feel like shit. If in the inside you're stressed, you're constantly anxious, and you can't even sleep, right? And at the end of the day, I think many of us start a business because we have a mission. It's more the mission than the actual money in this case. So we really want to make sure that what we're doing, we can do for as long as we possibly can. And so first, I would love to introduce these amazing speakers that we have here today. To my right, we have Matthias Schmitt. Matthias Schmitt is a visionary entrepreneur turned executive coach and inspirational leadership speaker. In his 20s, Matthias co-founded 2 successful companies, a SaaS platform raising 18 million in funding, and Germany's top winter festival brand with thousands of people every year. Despite his achievements, he faced burnout and self-doubt, prompting a profound journey of self-discovery. Determined to find deeper meaning, Matthias exited his companies to focus on personal growth and impactful living. Today, as the Chief Fulfillment Officer, he transforms leaders' stress and anxiety into confidence and purpose through his groundbreaking expansion state method and empowers global leaders with expansive leadership programs. His highly sought-after coaching has empowered global leaders to achieve new heights of success, harmony, and fulfillment. And Matthias believes in the power of expanding into our most authentic selves to become role models for a new world of joy, love, and peace. Let's give it up to Matthias. Impressive. To my left, I have Céline Klarer. Céline is an entrepreneur and stock market investment coach dedicated to helping women achieve financial freedom through a holistic approach known as the Luna Abundance Method. Through her program, Luna, which focuses on mindset, nutrition, wellness, and financial tools for smart money management and growth in business and investments. In just 2 years, Céline has scaled her coaching business from $2,500 per month to $100K per month. She has also grown her personal brand from 500 followers to 400K followers on Instagram and TikTok combined. Highly recommend checking out her content. Thanks to her expertise in personal branding, viral strategies, and sales systems. She's also passionate about everything related to building a personal brand and using spirituality to find alignment and purpose in running a successful business. All righty. You'll be last. Patience. And then we have Jourdan Hussein. He's an executive coach dedicated to guiding underrepresented and minority tech founders and CXOs, meaning CEOs, COOs, CMOs, C-level executives. With an MBA from Stanford and an MPP from Oxford, his coaching is deeply influenced by his own transformative experiences with sacred plant medicines and somatic healing, emphasizing emotional intelligence and embodied leadership. He started his career in the Indonesian president's office, and after a significant period in tech, he now focuses on fostering environments of trust and collaboration. He's passionate advocate for LGBTQIA2S+ rights, organizing retreats to support personal growth and community belonging within the queer community. Outside of his professional life, Jourdan enjoys dancing, singing, reading, and traveling, which keep him balanced and energized. Make sure you stay until the end for a live performance of Jourdan. And then last but not least, we have sorry.
We're waiting for the performance.
Yeah.
We can give you
Yeah. And then last but not least, we have Abdelkader. He's an entrepreneur and the founder of Bebo Cold Press and the Willpower Club. Best juices I've ever tried, some of the healthiest ones in Barcelona. And you definitely have to go check out Willpower Club. If you want to push your boundaries, go to one of his workouts, highly recommend. He's also a wellness coach specializing in mindset. His strengths include resilience, discipline, and the ability to navigate and overcome difficulties. Abdel's 2 years in the army profoundly shaped his commitment to consistency and discipline, and today he's dedicated to using his expertise to assist those eager for personal growth and development, putting his knowledge to work to help others achieve their fullest potential. Alrighty. All right, so let's get down to the juice, the real part we've all been looking for. So let's talk about purpose and impact, right? And before we go into what it is, how, what are some of the challenges facing it, how we can integrate it into our business, how do you find your true purpose and align it with your business goals?
That's to me. Kind of shaky still. All right. For me, I'm going to talk through my experience, of course. And I think it's so important and vital to have purpose in life. Otherwise, you don't have reason to stand up from your bed and face life, which is already tough. I mean, you don't know what to expect from the moment you put your step on the floor. So the importance of purpose, and it's really like, it's not hard to find it, but it's so simple, we can't look at it. Like, we're used to complicated things. So we always look to the complicated side and we'll forget to the simple things. And to me, through my experience, I found out that the purpose is about time and experience. So we gotta let time pass, certain time, and it has to be a balance between those two things. So the time plays a special role. It makes your, it kind of gives you the, how can I say the word, like, gives you the substance, and experience gives you the shape. And then you become what you're supposed to be here, right? Me, I can't say luck because I don't believe in luck, but I can say I found my purpose. So that's why I say it's very simple. The only things we have to do is to take the things that stops us from finding the purpose. And if you want me to name them.
What are some of those things that can actually get in the way, right? Is it the conditioning that we received, not with, bad intentions from our parents, from university, right? That tells us that we need to do this or that, right? That sometimes even blinds us from even looking inside, right? Of what.
Yeah, me, I was lucky in one thing. They kicked me out of school at 16, okay? So I got no scholar degree at all, okay? Nothing. I'm a coach because I believe in it, and that's the only thing I have. And I was lucky on that because I didn't give them time to shape me, right? On this system that keeps us away from what's all there and looking at the carrot and following the carrot all the time. And we lose our purpose because we get all this thing about following happiness constantly that we forget about what's to be and feel happy, right? And this happens since we're small. And the problem here is that the fears, they don't teach us how to look inside. They teach us how to look outside all the time because that's where all the distractions are, all the shiny things and everything. And we pass 60 years of our life without knowing who we are really. Then we get the question, what did I do? What was my purpose? What I'm doing with my life? I'm lost. Right now, if you look around you, everyone seems like lost. And we have to recognize that we're not lost. We just have to recognize the kid that we were. So we gotta go really back and look at when we were not fearing walking, for example. We were walking, falling, walking again, standing, and so on. And repetition masters everything. And if you repeat the thing about looking in, like really looking in and not having the fear, because the fear of looking in, it's so scary. Sometimes we look in and it's so dark. But it's a momentum only of darkness. After that, the light comes in and you can see clear who you really are. But you have to make questions, and questions are really tough to make and answer. So yeah, I'll really practically, I'll take the fears. I always tell you, Mark, and I'm repetitive with that, we're all gonna die. And he said, don't get drama with that. And I'm not talking about the drama thing. We have two choices. Focus on we're gonna die, life sucks, we're gonna end, or I'm gonna die, so it means I'm alive. So I'm choosing life. So anyways, I'm gonna lose everything, I'm gonna give it back, in other words. So we came to play. As long as you say, I came to play here, so you're gonna do whatever it takes in every moment and you leave the present. That pushes you to be right here, right now. Mm-hmm. And when you're right here, right now, it's where things happen. They don't happen in the future or the past. If you look really fast to future, there's nothing happening, nothing. Everything happens right here.
Mhm. And so I'm curious also from your experience. You were a waitress, then you were studying hospitality, you became an investment coach. You've kind of done a little bit of everything. So, what was your journey of finding your purpose, and what advice would you give to other people on a similar journey?
Okay, hey everyone. So for me, I really love the point when you were talking about how we've all been at one point preconditioned with our expectations from our parents, from our school, the system of what success is. And I really firmly believe all of us, we already know our purpose, but it's all the noise, as you mentioned just now. It's like all the noise that's telling us, you should do this is successful, this so. And one thing that really triggered me to look within myself during the last 2 years when I started my spiritual journey was isolation because of the whole COVID thing. I was in China and I was locked in for 3 months in my apartment. So that really forced me to introspect and ask myself very difficult questions, asking the very difficult questions as what do I really want to do? And if the thing that I'm pursuing right now is actually fulfilling me, is it making me happy? Because at that time I wanted to be an investment analyst. Like I'm still doing stock market investing and so on, but to sit in front of a computer looking at Excel 12 hours a day, that's something I can't even imagine doing. And for me, I just love speaking my truth, being in front of the camera, creating content and inspiring people. And this is something that just comes naturally to me. So what I advise for everyone is just look within yourself. What is your inner child? What does your younger self really love to do? What fuels your fire? Like when you start doing something, what makes you feel passionate? And then tap into that and be brave to just start that, no matter what people think and if they judge you or so on.
Love that. And I also like, I'm still in my 20s. Some of my friends are still even in university. I hear the question, what do I want to do with my life often? And I just feel like it's the wrong question to ask yourself. And I think beyond also looking at yourself, I think one thing that also helps is what kind of lifestyle do I want, right? And keeping it broad. It can be simple questions as in, do I want to have the freedom to work remotely or not, right? Do I want to be close to my family? Do I want to work on more creative things? Do I want to do something that's more, monotonous, which is also fine, right? Like, I think it's important to ask these questions. And I'm really curious on your side. We had one conversation a few weeks ago, or a few months ago at this point, and you were talking also about stillness, and you were talking about the inner and the outer purpose, right? I'd love for you to expand on that, but I would also love to know, you have started 4 companies, right? How much of a difference did it make, right, in your day-to-day in terms of alignment? Once you found your purpose, once you were more aligned, right? Like, how was the difference from starting a business with and without the purpose? A lot of questions at once.
All right. Yeah, that's a lot of questions at once, brother.
And what's your favorite color? And
what's my
also,
favorite color? Well, we're all kind of bright here, no? We're like blue, white. That's amazing. So yeah, I will start with 2019. I think that's a good point to start. So in October 2019, I woke up and it was a Munich autumn day. And I woke up and I felt just absolutely miserable. And I woke up in this 200 square meter apartment in Munich, penthouse. I could see the Alps, and I had 2 really well-running companies that I co-founded. So one was a software company, and the other one was the event company. And I remember the woman that I had just spent the night with, what I did every weekend, leaving my pretty much every weekend a different woman, leaving my apartment, and I felt like really fucking miserable, and I had all of that, and still I was like, I just want to be happy, I just want to be fulfilled, I just want to live a life of joy, and I knew that sometimes I had that, right, on the weekends when I went out partying, and all this stuff. But then during the week, I was mostly feeling not so well, and that went over several weeks until I was like, fuck that. Like I don't know what I'm gonna do, but I'm definitely gonna look for something deeper. And that was the moment when I decided to quit the companies, when I decided to exit and say like, okay, I'm gonna dive deeper. And that was 6 months. So those 6 months from that decision to actually exiting the company were like the most, I would say, the moments where I was the furthest away from my purpose that I had been in my life. Because I don't think that we can be completely off purpose. I will talk about that in a second. But that was like, wow, I was still doing something. I needed to work on something that I didn't feel meaning in. And I was like, do I want to do that the next 10 years of my life? Do I want to look back when I'm 40, and think like, what have I done with my life? Right? And I was like, no. So I took that decision. And then the next years, I dedicated myself to finding that purpose and to to diving deep into myself. And again, I was chasing something. Again, I was like, I want to find what I'm here for to do. I want to find that. So I dove into like personal development. I went to Tantra retreats all over the world. I sat with indigenous people. I was in Eastern monasteries and all of that. And I found myself so fucking lost at one point. I was really, really lost. Until I realized, like, what the fuck am I, like, before I was chasing the external, now I'm chasing something inside of me. But nothing really works for me. Like, again, feeling miserable, again being there and like, what the fuck am I doing with my life, right? I've left this life of chasing something on the outside only to replace it with chasing something on the inside. So how does that relate to purpose? I think that we can never be like off purpose. It's always right there, because what is purpose? And that's the inner purpose, actually, is just our fullest expression. The fullest expression of ourselves is our purpose. Because what does purpose mean? Purpose means, literally, purpose is like the purpose of this bottle is to contain water. So that's like what the bottle does, right? It contains water. Oh, sorry. Getting excited here. So what is your purpose or my purpose? It's just to be who we are. That's it. That's it, right? That's our inner purpose in the end. But, and coming back to those like preconditioned things, it's like as if there was a sun, right? You're the sun, right? And then there's like all these like clouds and stuff. And these clouds are like the conditions that we have from our parents, that we have from our childhood, that we got from school and from society that we grow up in. Actually, the epigenetics, like all of the knowledge that now holistic doctors are pulling up, all the studies, they show that how we feel, cancer, mental diseases, depression, all of that it has nothing to do with genes. It has only to do with the environment that we're in. That's when genes get turned on and turned off. And like only 2 to 3% of our diseases, of how we feel, does actually have to do with genes. So what does that mean? That a lot of the diseases and everything that we maybe might feel bad or not good about, or the depressions that we have, all the things are not related to the genes, but we can change it. And that's like the clouds that are in front. And then when we can push the clouds away, we can actually see the sun. And the sun is what the purpose is. It's just our fullest expression, who we truly are, authentically, right? And so that's what I mean with the inner purpose. And then the outer purpose, that's at least how I phrase it, right? That's how I phrase it. Everybody has a different understanding. You can call it mission, derives from that. So when I express myself fully, like you say, you want to inspire women, right? And that's so beautiful. Then this is what the mission in the world, the outer purpose that you have in the world. And I believe that relating to the companies, so at first I was really driven from a cloud that said, you gotta be successful, you gotta be rich, like you have to be the strong man that earns the money and does all the shit. And yes, it's cool to have money and to be successful, but only going after that made me feel shitty. Like, made me really feel just really bad. And so I think it's so important to let that inner wisdom come first and let that inner wisdom guide. And that's why it's so important to dive deeper with oneself, to ask oneself those questions. And for me, the turning point was really when I got support from somebody, when I went to seminars, but also got long-term support, right? From somebody, from a mentor, from a guide who had been through similar situations in order to guide the way, because they had been there, right? And then building the company, the business from that place of inner knowledge is just so awesome. It's just the best.
100%.
Yeah.
And I'm curious, Jourdan, you've probably worked with many leaders, right? What role does purpose have? Not just in being happy, in being successful, but in also really making an impact in what you do.
Yeah, good question. There's an unhealthy obsession to be happy, to be fulfilled. I think being human is to feel all the emotions, and you can never avoid feeling shitty, feeling depressed. But you can avoid depression, I'll talk about it later. But to feel dissatisfied, to feel disappointed. And that's what makes people actually quite disillusioned by this idea of living your purpose. A little bit contrarian here, but I think just to put it blatantly, like purpose serves as a function to make humans thrive. Without purpose, we will only survive. We will only just do animal things every day. Eat, shit, sex, die. I mean, that's repeat. Without purpose, without invisible, intangible meaning, I think purpose to me is meaning. How do you want to assign meaning to your life? It's really hard to get up, as Abdel said. Like, what am I doing now? Like, why do I get to work? And usually all of us are autopilot. 95% of what we do is already been shaped the first 7 years of our childhood. And then you repeat, and then you throw in different ingredients from school, from religion, from country, from culture, from TV. You just enlarge repetition until you stop and you examine your life, like, what is my purpose? I think several good points here, like inner outer purpose, like darkness, facing all of that. And for me, it's just like, I don't know if you guys have read Man's Search for Meaning, Viktor Frankl. He survived the Holocaust. For him, purpose guided through him survival and then thriving afterwards, right? And I think without purpose, it's really hard to then do something meaningful in your life, and then you probably stop or burn out in the middle because you're doing it not for a reason that is inherently yours. As Céline said, we're all born with something, and we don't know that because we've been domesticated. It's not just, preconditioned. It's domestication. The system doesn't like us awaken and live through our true meanings and through inherent values, right? So I think for me, I'm advocating really go deep. Like, remember who you are. You know who you're born as. We just forget through domestication process, right? And then how do we tie it to impact? How I see it in my clients. A lot of my clients, they're founders, they're ambitious. They come from very painful background because they overcome a lot of barriers institutionally, racially, socioeconomically, discrimination, biases. But there's something there behind them. It's a chip on their shoulders that keep them going, right? And then they have to stop and re-examine. Am I going the right directions? Am I doing it in the healthy pace? And they always say, oh, but I have a purpose. I have an impact to make. I want to change their life. But where does that come from? Does that come from an egoistic purpose, trying to prove your self-worth, that you're worthy of respect, that you're worthy of love, that you're worthy of admirations? Or it comes from an inherent abundance and full cup that you want to inspire and help others? Usually when you do it from the former, when you're coming in from the place of scarcity and then lacking in insecurity, you'll burn out at some point. Those impact and purpose is just your trick to yourself that you want to keep going to gain respect from people. But it's not really sustainable. But the one that is truly sustainable purpose is that after you've done your work, clean all your emotional baggage and shit and bury them away, then you'll find your true inherent purpose, that this is what I am here to do, and I'm going to sort of like serve others. Usually purpose comes from a service to others or from your own pain. For me, my purpose is turning my pain into purpose. Yeah.
Wow. Alrighty. Yeah, I mean, it sounds like from all these different answers that stillness, just being quiet and looking within yourself is a huge part of actually finding your purpose and becoming an exceptional leader. So now moving on to the second part of leadership and emotional intelligence, right? We were talking about how important it is to have this sort of stillness, to find a purpose that's really aligned and it's not coming from, a more not so good place, right? I'm curious, what are some other essential qualities, right, that you believe leaders should have nowadays in today's world? And maybe you can even touch on, the expansion state method that you pioneer.
So what qualities should leader have nowadays?
Yes.
Alrighty. I think it's when I found myself in, that was like 3 years ago in Lisbon. I found myself standing on a balcony, super beautiful summer day. And I felt I had done a lot of work about the inner work, right? And I found myself still angry, frustrated, really like a lot of sadness there, a lot of sadness coming up, like frustrated, angry. And I was like, why can I not have tools in order so that I can use those emotions for the good? How can I use my emotions actually for the good? And how can I regulate myself? And how can I use that? And that's when I dove deeper and actually like really engaged in the work that you were also describing, right? Like the deep inner work is we can find ourselves looping in these emotions, and leadership in the end starts for me with self-leadership, like starting to lead yourself in a way that's profoundly helpful for yourself in the first, like filling your cup first, having the discipline to actually follow through with what you plan, right? So that's super important for me. And in this moment when I was in Lisbon, I was like, no, like I had gone through, I didn't have like this 2 or 3 years of personal growth just to be at the same point where I was before, right? Just looping in the same kind of emotions over and over again. So it's really important to understand that emotional intelligence comes from ourselves realizing the positive emotions that we actually want to bring into our lives. And that's also how we're shaped. So how does this work? Is like the early childhood that you were describing as well, the early childhood memories that we have, we attach meaning to them. So we find ourselves in experiences. For example, I saw a lot of conflicts in my childhood that weren't really handled well in my family, that weren't really skillfully handled well. What I made that mean about myself is that speaking my truth, or even speaking, can be dangerous for me, okay? Can be very dangerous for me, can actually hurt myself, right? So a lot of the time, a lot of the years I was living in from like this kind of contraction. I was like, whoa, like I cannot speak my truth. I had a hard time approaching women and overcompensated later, big time in my 20s, but still from that place of like kind of contraction and self-doubt, and I had so many self-doubts. And even though on the outside, like I looked so confident, I was not on the inside confident because I wasn't able to lead myself from an emotional place of healthy. So what it really helped me was using that expansion state method, that I also have webinars on that, to really go into the emotion that I want to live from, and change my whole system through that, change the beliefs that are attached to that. Because we want to go down to the emotional level in order to create the life. And there's been so many studies now, for example, by Dr. Joe Dispenza, that actually if we feel the same emotions, then the same stories come up again, then the same emotions come up again, the same stories come up again. So we can do a lot of inner work and reflection, but then we come out of the retreat and boom, we're spit into the same environment. We have the same emotions, we have the same stories, we have the same emotions, we have the same stories. So we have to go to that deeper level. And that's like part of the method that I'm teaching, really how can we use these elevated emotion to create the life that we want to.
Very interesting. And you also talked on the part of emotional intelligence, very, very important one, and also the qualities that you should have as a leader individually. And I'm curious, what role does emotional intelligence have to, beyond just yourself, be able to manage a team, especially also in high stress situations? Many times, we starting to bring on a team, grow it, and we're still dealing with so many things ourselves, right? So how can you leverage this emotional intelligence to better manage a team as a leader?
First, you have to manage yourself, right? Everything starts from one itself, right? And that's all the work that has to be done first. And then the emotional intelligence is to understand first emotions. And emotions are energy motion that keep moving, but we keep holding to them, right? So it's about letting go things that teaches us a lot, right? So first learning to let go what's the emotions and understanding that we're all human beings and we're supposed to behave that way. But there is people who don't behave that way and they hold to emotions. So first thing as a leader, I think, is to know how to deal with the emotions, right? And then once you know that, you can emphasize empathy. So you can have more empathy with other people since you understand that everything, we're emotional beings, right? So when we understand that, people in the business can have a lot of mistakes. That's something we have and we should learn from. A leader has to be a master of making, not mistakes, but failing, right? So it has to be a master repetition of failing. That's why I recommend to many people, fail quick and so on, because you don't want to fail at 60 or 70s. And that teaches you a lot when you accept that, because there's a lot of letting go and acceptance. And a good leader has to have that skill of accepting and letting go. People come and go from businesses, right? You have you might start with one team, and you might end or continue with very different people during the lifespan of the company. So you have to understand that always you got to step back. Like, for example, there is something that I apply in my company, which is I don't, when I see someone making a mistake, I kind of do like a coach thing, and I'm so much into the business, into that. So I try to understand why that happened so we can't repeat it, but I don't correct it right there. What I do is I create a system for that. So I go by myself, I see what's the mistake, and then I teach that person again, because sometimes or the person is that way and you'll never change it. So you don't try to change everything because that's how it is, right? And these people are so emotional. And sometimes it's the system. Most of the time it's the system in the company that fails. So a good leader has to do a lot of accepting and letting go. And yeah.
And so, thank you so much. I'm really curious, taking it a step further, right? How do you build a culture of trust and collaboration, right? How do you, I thought this was an amazing way to really kind of motivate people, right? But how do you really make that something sustainable? How do you turn, these little coaching experiences into something that's more so, turns into a culture, right? Where people are truly motivated, trusting each other, and eager to collaborate with each other.
Yeah. So you mentioned trust and collaboration, right? So what is trust? Is usually defined by how much I can sort of rely on you, depend on you, and feel safe with you. I think people forgot the safety element a lot. Safety means I can be myself and express myself without being judged for what I feel and who I am. And I think what I coach a lot in my clients, I do team coaching as well and co-founders coaching, so like I'm a couples therapy in a company, is building that relational safety. Meaning it's unconditional regard for whatever emotions that each person brings. So if one person, as Abdul said, not done with themselves about dealing with their own emotions, right? If they cannot manage their anger, usually they get so triggered by somebody's anger, right? So I think building that trust, meaning building psychological safety. There is a research at Google called Project Aristotle. In 2019, they did 30,000 teams research around the Google's team around the world. 5 elements that defines a team's success, team's efficacy, team success. It's not what degrees they have, gender allocation, what have you, all the attributes. Number 1, and it cannot be overridden, is psychological safety. What is psychological safety? Is this feeling of you being able to challenge anyone, to be yourself, to not filter yourself, not to censor yourself in a way that is respectful and healthy. So that's a leader's task, to be able to create the psychological safety. Number 2 is dependability. After that psychological safety, you building trust, and when I assign you and delegate you to do this, can you actually deliver? And if you don't deliver, you make mistakes, can you admit mistake and you say sorry, and then you correct your mistake, right? So that creates sort of trust and dependability. Number 3 is structure and clarity, meaning. So purpose is also very important for a team's sort of success. And then impact. And then dependability and structure and clarity, sorry. So psychological safety, dependability, structure and clarity, meaning and impact. These 5 things determines a team's success or not. Now, when we talk about collaboration, meaning it's to let go to tone down your ego and willing to collaborate with someone, right? Because the opposite of collaboration is what? Competition. Competition is probably good with other people, with other companies, but when you compete within the company, it's going to create toxic culture. People are going to elbow each other out and sabotage each other just to win and prove themselves, right? So I think if you establish the psychological safety and then these values of like respecting others and trusting others and then collective sort of belonging, that we're in it together, we're all included, we're in it for a mission, then a leader's task is going to be even smoother and then less painful.
Love that. And Céline, you're an investment coach, but you have such a holistic approach, right? You also touch on nutrition, you touch on spirituality. And I'm wondering, how do you integrate spirituality into business? And how can it help you develop emotional resilience?
Right. So spirituality means something different for every single person. For me, it just means connecting to myself and doing whatever that aligns with my values and what creates meaning for myself. And what was really interesting was throughout my business journey, when I started my first business 2.5 years ago, it was in direct alignment with my spiritual journey as well. Every time I had a big obstacle in the business where I was reaching a plateau, I was like, my first 6 months, I was making like 10,000 a month. Everything was great. And then I started plateauing and I couldn't attract new clients. And then things were going on wrong in social media. I couldn't get the results I wanted, the views, the engagement and everything. There was no conversion in the clients. And this happens, for me, I realized there's always a cycle. There's always a cycle with me that every 6 months or so, I would reach a type of plateau in the business. And this is the moment that I've done over and over again, to just stop for a minute, pause, and look within yourself again and ask yourself, what is currently not working? Most of the times we would look externally to the business, right? That's very masculine energy. Let's look at the data. Let's look at the hard facts. Okay, the social media strategy is not working because X, Y, Z. But in my specific experience, I noticed that whenever my business is not working, it means I've lost touch with myself. I give you a very specific example. For the first year, I was only doing my program was only on investing. Very stock market focused. I had always this type of outfit on. It was very like blazer, very professional. But I realized over time, I'm like, this is not really me. Céline loves to dance. Céline loves to talk about spirituality, about personal development, about feminine energy. And I was like, how do I incorporate that in my whole personal brand so it's more authentic and aligned with me? And the moment I started really being brave enough to show every aspect and not be like, oh, people are gonna not take me seriously, because how can I be an investment coach and do TikTok dances and talk about this kind of stuff? Like, how is that? But no, just do what feels right for you, what feels true to you. And the moment I started doing that, I started attracting my dream clients. my videos started going viral. Like within just 2 weeks, I have one video that goes 10 million views, and I start increasing my followers from like 10,000 to 120,000 within just 1 month. So it's just like these moments, those sparks, when you just have to look within yourself again, be honest with yourself, be aligned. And then that's how you incorporate spirituality into business.
Love that. And we're gonna move now into mental and physical health. I was gonna ask you a question later on, but I think it's really connected to the question I actually wanted to ask you. Can you explain a little bit more about the Luna Abundance method and how you can help people optimize their productivity, their health, and what are and I'm also very curious, in what ways do men and women approach their mental and physical health differently, right? Like, what's the difference with this approach for men and women as well?
All right. So to answer your first question, with the Luna Abundance method, this is something that I created throughout all the obstacles I went through with my business, was that every time I was so focused on the masculine energy of just achieving, getting money, goals, and so on, it gets you to a certain point, but at one point you reach a glass ceiling. And every time you reach a glass ceiling, you need to stop and reflect and slow down a bit. That's the feminine energy, to reconnect with yourself, to center and ground yourself and really ask yourself these questions, what aligns with you. And then once you get those answers, because all your answers are within yourself. You just need to know how to listen to it and listen to your intuition. But as soon as you stop and you figure out those answers, then you go full force. Then you use your masculine energy to take the action. And then you have this cycle of like this dance between the feminine and the masculine energy. And this is how I created the Luna Abundance method, is specifically for women, for business women. How do you incorporate feminine energy in your business so that you can achieve even more success? So this is how in the first part of the program, it's a lot about the spiritual aspect, looking within yourself, different meditation techniques, holistic approach. And then the actual tools, like how do you actually invest? How do you actually look at numbers in a company and then start buying your stocks? That's the masculine energy, right? So that's what I would say is the first part. And then the second question
was more around, first I asked you about the Luna Abundance
Right.
method, right? Like how you can optimize your productivity, your health, and then also the difference, how
men and women.
Yeah, it is for men and women.
Okay, so how many girls, I just want to ask you girls a question. How many of you girls know about cycle syncing? Cycle syncing. It's not.
So about.
You want to?
No, I'm just like saying what percentage, like 20%,
Yes.
30%?
Yes.
No, everyone, 100%.
Okay. It's a. There's a common misconception. So it's not syncing your menstrual cycle with another person. It's actually understanding. Women, we have a different hormonal cycle as men. Men repeat testosterone levels, increase, decrease 24 hours, and it just repeats. Meaning, every day men could just be on the go. Like literally 365 days, you guys can just keep going. You can keep hustling without really burning out. But as women, our hormonal cycle repeats on a 28-day cycle. And our estrogen increases when we're ovulating and then decreases as we reach menstrual cycle. So when you understand that hormones really affect your energy, you can understand how to optimize your business, your day-to-day activities, optimize it with your cycle. So typically I'll give you a very short, brief summary of that. In the beginning, day one to day 10 is when you're done with your menstrual cycle. So when you're just starting and your follicular phase, your estrogen is increasing. This is when you're starting to get a lot of energy. This is when you feel like a superwoman. You can go to the gym, you could do high intensity training, you can like just do a lot of stuff. You feel energized, and this is the time. This theme should be when you're starting new things. Brainstorming, this is when you're the most creative. You can create new ideas, brainstorming content, business ideas, and so on. When you're ovulating in the 3 to 4 days, this is mating season. So this is when you're naturally more magnetic, you're more communicative, you're better at verbalizing. And actually scientifically, they have shown that the pitch of your voice as a woman increases slightly and is been kind of anonymously judged as more attractive when you're ovulating. So if you know that you're ovulating, you can actually use this to your advantage, and you can go to networking events, you speak to people, connecting, doing your sales calls. When you're communicating during this ovulation phase, you're extremely powerful. And then, of course, the luteal phase, things start to slow down. You do work on completing tasks, doing admin work and so on. And then finally, when you're menstruating, you should just really rest, because hustle culture and like the patriarchy is like, okay, even when you're on your period, you gotta go, you gotta go, you gotta go. But this is really against our nature. And actually, if you fight it and you keep pushing, it actually is counterproductive. And then when you're moving on to your new cycle again, you slow down, you're not on the go. You need to give yourself rest. So this is what I teach with women is like, if you're a businesswoman, actually understand your body. We're different from men. We're not supposed to be working the same way as men.
Wow.
Very nice. So let's talk about mental and physical health routines, right? Obviously, most of us do something for our health, right? But sometimes it gets in the way of, running a business, right? We have so many things, so many meetings, it's this, you start working, and then at some point you're just like, I just cannot stop working. Happens to me very often. So what are some routines, practices that you recommend that you can easily integrate into, your routine as a busy entrepreneur?
Okay, first, I would say you have to understand what's business. What's the business? If the business is the business or you're the business, right? So what I mean with that is going back to build yourself. So when you build yourself, you start understanding that you have to prioritize yourself, okay? Life is about being in a line, on a cliff, and then you're trying to balance in every second, every instant we make a decision. You try to balance. So you make a decision, you get imbalanced, you balance again, and so on. And you can have business, you can have your wife, your husband, your kids, and then you keep adding inputs in your life, and you have to things get more complicated the more things you add, right? So you can blame business, blame whatever, right? So everything starts with yourself. Once you start thinking that you have to love yourself, and love is everything, is the coin that represents everything in what we do right now in life, then you start to think, I'm the nucleus of my life, so I have to work on myself. Once you understand that, you prioritize yourself. Then you start building habits. First, you have to clean that thought of my business, I gotta approach this, I gotta chasing. Everyone's chasing something, chasing happiness. And they put that, again, the carrot to follow, and we keep behind that, right? And we forget again about us. So it's very important to train focus. Training focus is very important to keep for future, so you don't get distracted easily and then getting out of your way again, because we keep getting out and again. So creating habits towards you. So for example, what I do, my life is simple. I wake up at 4:30. 4:30 every day, because I love myself. Some people might think you punish yourself so hard. No, I got more time to live because I love my life. So that means something. And then I create certain habits like meditation, which is very important. I have a business to care about, but I'm not into targeting high achievements of money, monetary, and so on, because I don't chase money. I forget chasing money because I understood what money is. So it's, again, about understanding what money is, what priority is, what focus is, and then you use all those tools to understand that if you are healthy, which is in balance, you can create as much money as you can. It's a matter of patience. You have to be patient, but we don't rush. We're in a FOMO all the time. We look at our neighbor, and our neighbor has a Lamborghini, and we drive a bicycle, whatever. But it might be a good bicycle that brings you to a place to see a sunrise at 6 a.m. when the other person is chasing money, right? So it's not about money is bad. Money is good, but your money, right? So when you create habits, for example, I do in my case, which I can talk about through my experience, wake up at 4:30, you can wake up at 5, for example. And then,
Is 7:30 okay?
well, 7:30. It depends on how much time you want. You know, how many times you heard, I don't have time? How many of here have 25 hours a day? Nobody, right? The richest, the poorest, whatever, 24 hours. And then you split them. And then it's about priority. Where do I put my time? I choose to put my time here. I don't care about the rest, okay? So it's about choosing the right thing. And you can say that's selfish. No, because if I keep this core healthy, I can feed the rest. If I have so much love to give, I can give love. But if I don't have love because I lack it, because I follow money, it's empty, you know, without being fulfilled. I keep filling up empty holes, black holes. So I can never be in a way that I'm going to be fulfilled.
Yeah. And is there, if you could just share one routine, just very quickly, that has had the maximum ROI for you? Just one, let's keep it short.
One only.
If there's one that you're like, okay, if there's one only, choose this, do that.
Okay. This is, but it can't sound...
And a short one, please.
Short, okay.
Yeah.
I hate you, man.
I love you too.
Being present, that's it.
Be present.
Be present.
And I think...
I'll say that.
and I
But
think-
people don't know how to be present. So I think if you ask someone what's to be present, then that's like... so I'm being present now.
No, but I seriously now, we're just being mindful of time. I may be a little bit ruder now. Okay, I may just rip the mic out of your hands. But
Dude, I got a black belt in...
oh, really? Okay, I'm good now. Actually,
I'm just kidding.
you're kidding. All right. So Matthias.
But I had Oktoberfest fights in Munich.
Oh la la, amazing. When is the next one? Can we join or?
It's not my style anymore.
Okay. So you talked about presence, right? I was asking more about routines that you can implement into your day-to-day life to improve your physical and your mental health. But what if you are feeling stressed? What if you are burning out, right? What are some practices you can do to actually avoid that or heal from this anxiety, from this burnout? And please just being mindful of time as well.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I know. What I'm seeing is that I've worked with hundreds of founders, and the root of stress and anxiety is not the task at hand, right? Like what you said, like it's not the thing that's there. It's how we have learned to cope with all of this information, all of the things that are there. And most of the time I have spent in survival mode. Like, who knows survival mode? Who knows like running behind, like chasing and like, I gotta do this. My mind is spinning and spinning and spinning. So 80%. And our bodies are so connected to our brain. Like, this is something that new neuroscience, new therapy, new coaching is embracing so deeply, that our body is actually running the show. So when you think about stress, then you have to think about nervous system. And 20% of the nerves go down. So when you say, like all these tools and hacks that are out there, like mindset work, is cool, right? But it doesn't really work, does it? For you might see yourself like reading a lot of books. I've read a lot of books for sure, but it wasn't until I really got into the practice deep down that really things change, because 20% of the nerves run down and send signals down into the body. 80% send signals up. That's how our nervous system is structured, because our brain has to keep all the balance, so it needs all this information all the time. So all of these habits and the stress is actually stored in the nervous system, right? So what is super important is that we have a practice, and now I'm coming to the practice, okay, don't punch me, that we actually have a practice that goes deep into the nervous system, and that's what I call nervous system training, and that's what I do, for example, in the expansion state method, because I've realized that founders are really like addicted to stress anxiety. I was addicted. I was like driving in first gear on the fucking Autobahn, 180 in first gear. That's how I felt. And that's an addiction to the emotions and to all of that stuff that's coming out. But I'm losing all my life because I'm not present, right, when I do that. So yeah, so the practice that I would emphasize on is training your nervous system to regulate back into states of connection, because our automatic response is really off the hook nowadays with so many information, so much complexity. And we need to train our nervous system to come back into connection and into safety and into stability. And yeah, that's part of the expansive
And you do that
method.
by meditating, breathing. You also mentioned that one time we talked about just purely being silent as well, right? Often we just take a break from work, right? From whatever we were doing, and then we just pull out our phone, right? And just more stimulus, more stimulus. And you mentioned, Mark, just go to the living room, look out the window, look at the ceiling, and just don't do anything. Is there one specific thing that can help with burnout specifically or reducing stress? Just like one main routine or quality that you recommend?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, the stillness of the silence is definitely important, and meditation is important, but it has to be done in a skillful way. And the silence is cool to like chill for a second, you know, get your thoughts a little bit clearer or whatever. But like the long term, if you want to have long term benefit, and really also in pressure situations, that's what we're talking about, right? In high pressure situations, to stay calm and to be chill is to really train your nervous system to come back into a state of regulation and off connection, which is kind of like it's like a training meditation that I'm doing, you know, that I've learned from several different teachers, mentors that were, for example, working with Tony Robbins, that were working with a lot of like really, let's say, people that have studied a long time this. And that's packed into like a nervous system training. That's actually the.
Can I respond to that? I mean, I'm all about meditation, but meditation can worsen anyone who has difficult childhood. Like if you have a lot of trauma in your life, most likely your brain is gonna just go back to the thoughts that cause that feeling. So most of the time when you're trying to be calm, if you do Vipassana 10-day meditation, all your shit is gonna go up. And if you don't clean that shit, it's just laundry. If you don't release that through emotional release, crying, screaming, thumping, whatever it is that your body needs to do, you can't be calm. I'm sorry. Like that's bypassing. And then you need to really just let it that go. I mean, yes, the aim is to stay calm, but in the process, you will reinvite these repressed, oppressed, depressed emotions that we learn to grow up because we're domesticated. We cannot express a lot of emotions in our life through the system. So when you do that meditation, just be mindful that you will probably unlock a lot of stuff.
The important thing to say to this is that, like, the emotions, like, you can get into loops of really unhealthy emotions with a lot of emotional release. And what the basis of this is, the fundament of really releasing the emotion in a skillful way and also dealing with emotion in a skillful way and becoming more calm, is to bring everything to love. Like that's where it all comes down to. And when we do Vipassana, for example, yes, shit comes up. We have to learn how to bring it to love. And that's exactly, I'm not talking about somebody just doing any kind of meditation or any kind of training, but it's a very specific kind of nervous system training that trains the nervous system to bring everything to love. Whenever stress comes up, okay, what's stressing me? I'm bringing love. I'm embracing the stress. I'm here. Okay, I'm holding you. And that's what our body has to learn, that every emotion that is there, because it's actually a healthy expression. It's a healthy expression. We have to bring it into connection, into love. And that's what the training is for, that I'm actually doing, is to be able to skillfully hold this and not to go into one direction of suppressing that, of pushing that away, what I've been doing and what created even more, or into the other direction of releasing all of that and being over emotional, because that's not serving as well, but actually bringing that to love, calming down, staying focused, being present.
And some people may have never heard about this or not even tried it. But Jordan, I'm curious, how does somatic healing and plant medicine help you become a better, more balanced, and embodied leader, right? We're talking here about meditation, breath work. But what are your thoughts on these not so common or at least known practices?
How much time do I have? It's gonna be a long, but let me just cut it to the chase. Plant medicine, or we call it the psychedelics, it's not for everyone. So I just want to caveat it. It's not for everyone. It's not legal in many countries. You do it only in the countries that legalize it with the right setting. If you read the book How to Change Your Mind by Michael Pollan, you should read it. It talks a lot about psilocybin, DMT, LSD, MDMA, all of that. The one that I have relationship with is ayahuasca, plant medicine that has DMT. And somatic healing, to connect it, soma is body in Greek language. So how do you work with the body to overcome all the emotional baggage that I keep repeating and referring to? So as Matthias said, 80% of the nerves come from here. Nerves actually traverse and transfer emotions, energy in motion, as Abdul said. All emotions are in the body, guys. It's not here. So never talk out of your emotion. Never rationalize your emotions. Never intellectualize your emotions. You have to feel and sit with your emotions. If it's just only thinking about it, you will just create stories about it. It's just repeating the same fucking shit. Sorry, I'm just swearing here because it is what we see. Like, people always talk about emotions, but never really allow themselves to express and then release it in a skillful way and in a healthy way. So what plant medicine does, it take over your 100% of your brain capacity, shut down your cognitive mind, your prefrontal cortex, your prefrontal lobe, which is 5 to 10% of your brain, and work with 90 to 95% of your brain. 100%, all your neurons, trillion of them, is lit up. Like, you see a snowball crystal. When you see snow, you shake it. That's what psychedelic plant medicine does. And then when the snow sort of like recedes, you see clarity, right? And in that process of shaking, your body is gonna shake a lot. I never shook and vomit and scream and cry and wail and all the animalistic behavior that I've done in my life until I did plant medicines. It's a gift to this planet. It has to be stewarded and done in a very ethical, of integrity way. If you feel called to it, then explore it. It's the most powerful tool. It's actually equivalent to 10 times. They say if you've done plant medicine, it feels like you've done 10 years of therapy. It's just like accelerated all your shit, and then you have to deal with that, and then you have, holy fuck, how do I process all of this pain that I've been burying because I'm too afraid to face it. I just run away and escape from it. And plant medicine sort of like confronted you with that. So I think that's the connection. And then the last part of the question is how does it help you with embodiment? Is that?
Yeah, like how do you, right? At the end of the day, we're trying to look at different practices, right, to become a better leader, a better person. We talked about breath work, meditation, and in this case, somatics.
So somatics is basically body-based. Anything is body-based. So a lot of it is yoga, it's breath work, right? It's dancing, it's movement, mindful movements. Those are the basic things of practice. And I'm a somatic breath worker myself, so I'm trained in nervous system and breath work. So a lot of times when I work with leaders, they're always here. But as everybody said, 80% or 90% of everything is in the body. You cannot override and forget and dismiss the body. The body will scream at you. It whispers until you burn out, and then it just takes you down and you cannot work anymore, or you're paralyzed and you got chronic diseases, whatever, that takes you down. If you don't listen to the body, if you don't work with the body and the intelligence and the wisdom of the body, it will take you down. So I highly recommend people to do breath work, people to do movement, just like to integrate the mind and the body, because the mind and body are definitely connected. There's a lot more research proving that connections. The neuropraxis of the brain and the body is connected, right? And a lot of times leaders lead with fear, right? They're so afraid what's not gonna happen, uncertainty. And when you look into the body, and then as Abdul said, be present, there's nothing threatening right now. You're good. You have food on the table, you have roof, you have friends, but you're thinking about the scenarios in the future that you repeat from the past, maybe because you're addicted to fear-based scenarios about what happened in your life before, and then you repeat it again and project it to the future. You just repeat the same thing, and your body then catch up with that, and then you feel the stress, and you tense, and you cannot release anything because you're stuck with that. So I think plant medicine and somatics really help you to just untie the knots and then have clarity. So it's a bottom-up approach towards receiving clarity instead of top-down.
Thank you so much. And more so bring it here down. For some people, maybe meditation can feel a little bit woo-woo up there. I really don't think it's like that so much. But being a little bit more pragmatic here, right? What are some ways in which you can set boundaries, right? Like, let's talk about boundaries. Why are they important, and how can they help you not just be a better leader, but also improve your mental health as well?
This is a very good question that speaks to me at the moment right now, because I'm just starting to learn how to set boundaries with my business. Boundaries is being very clear with what you can tolerate and what you can't tolerate. And sometimes, I don't know some of you, but like I grew up as a people pleaser. And so for me, it's like, I just want everyone to be happy. I want everyone to be satisfied. But with the cost of that, you're going to hurt yourself in the process. So I give you a very example that just happened to me. In January, I had a new business partners into my business. It was the first time. I've been doing everything by myself for the last 2 years, and I decided I want to delegate. I want to let go of control. So I took in 3 business partners. All 3 of them were men, and there was, in the beginning, it was great. They were providing a lot of structure in my business. I was like, that's great, because I'm not very much of a structured, logical person. I'm more of a creative person. So it was a really good team dynamic until there was moments in time where they said, oh, like I go on holidays a lot. Even if I'm on business, like even when I'm working, this is my lifestyle. Like I enjoy, like I have cycles where I have periods of focus with monk mode, and then I have periods where I'm going on holiday. And for them, they saw success as a way you have to hustle. You have to stay in your office for 10 to 12 hours a day, and you just have to hustle. And that's how we're gonna achieve our goals for the next 2 years. And I'm like, that's not me though. Like I don't actually, at that point I was like, I don't care if I'm making 500,000 per month if I'm not aligned with myself. And I had this bit of a dilemma with myself, because I'm like, on one side, yes, I do want to achieve these goals, but then how do I do it in a way that I don't lose myself in the process? Because as soon as you're not respecting yourself and your values, that's when people can walk over you. And that's when you actually self-sabotage yourself and your business. So you have to be actually very firm and honest with yourself, and actually be selfish and practice how to communicate to other people and say, hey, like, I know we have this goal and it's great and I love working with you. However, this is my boundary. This is what I value. Like, this is what I show up in my personal brand. Is about being holistic, like having this balance in lifestyle. Like this is what I preach to my clients. You can make passive income, you can make money while enjoying your life. You don't have to hustle like a man all the time. And they were telling me to hustle like a man. So I'm like, well, I'm lying to myself. I'm lying to my followers for that. I'm not aligned with myself. So being honest with yourself, and it's a practice. This is something that doesn't happen naturally, especially if you have people-pleasing tendencies. But learn to, if it helps, practice in front of the mirror. Actually, that works. To say how you want to communicate to that person. And then just reinforce that until, like, the first few tries, it's not going to be perfect. But over time, you're going to build that stronger character in yourself. And then you're going to be honest with what's the best for you. I'm not sure if that answers your question.
100%. And just we're approaching here the last few questions.
20 seconds.
20 seconds. Let's make it 19.
Sprinting. I know the answer, right?
Yeah?
Yeah.
Go for it. What do you think I'm going to ask you?
I don't know.
Guess.
Wasting time now.
Just guess.
Okay. What do you mean?
Anyways.
Okay.
You had one guess. Do you still want to use it, or should I go in and ask right away?
Just go ahead.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I thought you were more
I guess no, I don't
competitive,
guess.
more...
No, I'm not competitive.
No?
No.
Okay.
We're gonna.
Anyways, my question is, how do you deal with imposter syndrome?
Wow. The last one. That's it. Okay, how much time I have?
Maybe 5 seconds.
Okay, fuck. Okay, my background, it's the perfect one for this topic. Because I grew up in, I wouldn't say poverty, but I would say lacking resources. Okay, that's how I call it. And that gave me plenty of room to creativity and get what I am right now. So that, if I look back, which I don't do, right? And sometimes I look just to see how the way I came from, I see that I could be with the dialogue that I don't deserve all what I have and all what I do. It's like, I can't believe I'm in where I am right now, having the peace I have and the plenitude that I have. And I built it, and I had to work in my self-love really daily. Talking like what you said in the mirror. At 11 years old, I've been looking at the mirror and already doing manifestation. Because I can say that now, I don't care, right? But they bullied me because I had like my ears were big, right? I didn't do surgery or anything. My head grew bigger than my ears, so thank God. But growing like that at 11 and working, I worked at 8, 9, and 10 in the street, taking care of cars and parking cars as a, to earn a living with and help my parents. And we grow like that, and the confidence shrinks like crazy. And everyone, it seems superior to you. And when you get here, you could fall into that easy. That's why you have to build your confidence and think what the reality is, which you can build your own. And that's what reality is. Nothing real. Everything is real, depends on what your reality create, the reality you create. So I created my own. And I believe that no one is better than anyone as a basic. We're all different. I have a different skills, and I have different dreams. I have different values. I have, everything is different. So that makes me different, not better than anyone. So that's same at the other side too. And that gives me plenty of confidence not to think I'm into, imposter syndrome. So yeah, I mean, the way to overcome that is to talk to yourself. Again, go in and tell yourself how a miracle you are and how big you are in terms of course, you have to create value on that, right? And I'll say, I'll share, give me 20 seconds. I'll just
Down.
Let's imagine this, okay? And this serves as because looking at a business or creating value, we were all born with a bottle, like this or any shape. You create your shape. You can have a jar, whatever you want, and you've been given with that jar, and it's your job to fill it up, right? So you can fill it up with Netflix. You can fill it up with just wasting time, watching whatever you want, or being lazy, and then the years will pass anyways, right? And then there's the people, like I say myself, which I fill up this bottle every day with the exercise that I do, with the meditation that I do, with the people that I talk to, conversations, deep conversation. I can do shallow conversation too, but I can be there and I can be here also. And that keeps adding value into this bottle. So we have so many bottles, billions of bottles in the world, right? So when it comes to 60, 70, or even younger, when you have to go to a company to work or anything, relationships, people look at the bottle and they judge you by the bottle. If it's a bottle full of value, it gets more expensive. And people will want to spend time with you, want to be around you. But how many empty bottles we have? People that keep wasting time, and then they complain, oh, I didn't have the opportunity. I can't stand laziness. I can't stand people who say I can't and I cannot, because I could. And if I could, anyone can, right? And I'm now in a moment where I don't lack anything. I can have anything I want, but I choose to have peace and plenitude. So what I mean with that is, don't be fooled around with, filling someone else's bottles, because we know people more than what we know ourselves, and keep filling up this bottle that you have, because one day you're going to look at it and you're going to feel proud of it. And that fights the imposter syndrome also. Now you can have it.
21 seconds. So the last topic here is balancing masculine and feminine energies, which is something that we've already discussed a lot during today's conversation. But I'm curious to know, Jourdan, what are some misconceptions about masculine and feminine energies when it comes to leadership?
Yeah, good questions. I There is a misconception out there that masculine and feminine energy is tied to gender. You're a woman, you have to be feminine. You're a man, you have to be masculine. No bullshit. All of us have both energies. It's polarities of each of us. And then being a queer person, I can transcend both. And I think sort of growing up, like knowing that I was queer since I was a kid, I had to fit in as a masculine boy, masculine man. And now I'm living as my identity authentically. I'm embracing my feminine energy. And that helps me also how I grow my business and how I also coach my clients. So here's some traits. In psychology, there is a wounded masculine energy and there is a healthy masculine energy. There are wounded feminine energy and there is a healthy feminine energy. In spirituality, we call it divine masculine, divine feminine. I like it also in queer community, divine queer. We transcend order, we're flying like a fairy godmother, right? Sprinkles everything like in the pride. But I'm just trying to say here is that what are the healthy masculine energy? What do you guys, like, just split it out, like, healthy masculine. What is it like? Structure? Yeah. Anything else? What? Brave, bravery. Anything else? Huh? Resilience, yeah, exactly. So, reliability, exactly. So, dependability, structure, focus, analytical thinking, protection, discipline, right? Those are the healthy ones. What are the wounded ones? What is a wounded masculine energy? Commanding, yeah. What else? Competitiveness. Sorry? Dominance, yeah. Aggressions, dominance, insecurity, control, right? Hurting other, violence. Those are the wounded masculine energy. Now, the feminine part, this is a little bit tricky. What is the wounded? Let's start with the wounded one. What is, jealousy? Control? Insecurity? Drama, exactly. Well, men can be dramatic too, brother. So it's manipulation, it's victim mindset. It's like, oh, I'm always a victim. Manipulation, victim mindset, over-dependence, passive avoidance, right? Those are the wounded one. The healthy one, I'll just cut to chase, is like nurturing, loving, collaborations, empathy, like flow. So that's why you need both. You need structure and flow. You need focus, and then you also need nurturing. You need collaboration, and you need analytical thinking, right? You need both. We cannot have one of the other. This is why people got to stress all the time, because they're always like focusing on the stress response and the fear-based response, and forgot that, like, yo, surrender and trust, but also just do things. Because I also don't like this, like, a lot of attraction. Okay, I'm gonna attract and magnetize. No, shit, do your shit and then focus and get shit done, but also just let things come to you. Give and receive. That's the cycle. And I think this is what I'm also coaching a lot of my clients. You've done a lot. Celebrate. Just celebrate what you have. It's amazing what you have. I mean, and then we will, and as you said, holidays, right? I always remind my clients, please, just sleep tonight. Or treat yourself some good food. Take 3 days off and we'll come back again, right? Because sometimes we are the worst to ourselves. We're the best to our clients, to our investors, to our employees, to our friends, but we're the worst to ourselves because we forgot to love ourselves. As Abdul said, the fundamental thing that I could sort of take away from this is, like, love yourself so much that you don't even care how you're going to attract other people into your life. You don't have to chase anything. If you love yourself, because every one of us is spiritually, we're divines. We're the creation we're the mirror of God. If we believe that, fundamentally, if you treat yourself well, you attract things well too into your life. So that's how I would approach it.
Beautiful. So this is it. We actually had many more questions, but they all have been answered throughout this amazing conversation. And I want to give some space also for the Q&A. For all of you here, for coming here today, I really, really appreciate it, for showing up. And I'm sure there's many topics that we could have doven, I don't know if doven is even a word, deeper. So,
David.
blah, blah, deep. Doven. Anyways, so before we jump to the Q&A, another big round of applause to these amazing speakers here today. Thank you so much. All right, questions. Anton, let's start with you.
Thank you, everyone. It was a wonderful conversation. So I have a question for Matthias. So can you give me an example how your journey kind of shift your company behavior? Like how do you start to treat your employers differently, or what was a switch?
Good one. Well, yes, beautiful. Well, when I started my company, I was like 24, co-founder of the first one, right? And wow, when I look back, that was 10 years ago. I was definitely a different person then. Like I would just drown no, I would say I had a lot of fun, right? And looking back, like I was drinking a lot. I was drinking a lot of alcohol. I had a lot of alcohol. Yeah, I coped with a lot of the stress that I had in unhealthy ways, and that reflected obviously in my leadership. So like my head was constantly spinning, for example, in conversations with my with new employees, or also with my co-founders. We did a lot from that, like the opposite from imposter is actually posture, right? So that, like, I would call it arrogance. I still have some of that in me, because that's like a protective part actually of me, because there was such a like young boy that was hurt inside. I remember a day when I was 12 years old. I came back home from school, and I was in Munich where I grew up. It was a super sunny day, and I wanted to play with my friends. And I called all 5 of them, best friends back then, and they all said they had something to do with their parents or do homework or stuff. So I went to the lake by myself. I wanted to go and go boat riding with them. And as I stand there looking out on the lake with my feet on the ground, I see 5 people on the boat, my friends. And like, my heart sank. And there for myself, I just knew, like, I'm never gonna feel that shitty about this ever again in my life. And obviously I was 12. So I created this like kind of like mask around me, right? This like arrogance, that posture. And that's what I was doing a lot from in the leadership with my team as well. And also with my co-founders, obviously, right? So I feel like that we did a lot from the head and from the mask, or whatever you want to call it, like just to be somebody, to pretend to be. And how that has shifted over the course is that now I present myself as vulnerable. And also, you know what, I think it's really important for me, what was really important for me to learn, and what I think for every man is very relieving and very relaxing in life, is learn to appreciate that I don't have a fucking clue what this means. And if you take leadership from that position, that's where I'm going in every morning. I'm going into, I don't know. I just don't know. Okay? And before I was in, I fucking know, obviously, like, right? Like, I gotta know. I'm the co-founder here, like, I have to do this, right? I gotta know. But going from I gotta know to I don't know is super powerful, because that's real power for me in the end, is like taking every moment as it is, being vulnerable, and coming from the heart instead of the head. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Great. Thanks. That's great answer. Like, perfect. Thank you for the question. Yeah.
Afterwards, it's Katerina. It's okay. I'm curious about. I don't know to whom the question. I don't really like whoever. So I'm curious about the context of your inner talk, how it looks like. So basically, I create like persons that I know in my head, and then I discuss a little bit, and that's like I worry. To sum up, I worry too much about the low-level things, and I get burned quite much. So I'm trying to change my inner talk, but not how I say things, the context of it. So if that makes sense, anyone could answer like if he or she tried to change it or how it looks like.
Prepare yourself. All right. With the inner talk, we gotta be careful which voice talks to us. Okay? There is something they call factor X, whatever. It's the voice that talks to us in the morning. Every moment that there is just a slight opportunity, it kicks in and it tries to convince you of anything because you're taking thousands of decisions, all right? So that inner talk, you just have to sometimes step back and to take control of it, it's taking actions most of the time. I mean, at least for me, it's taking actions. I don't argue too much with it. You know, the self-talk, inner talk, and all that is too much preoccupation because our mind is an expert of creating movies, okay? Can create any movie before it happens. There's a phrase that, I don't remember the name of the person who said it. He said, my life is so full of disgrace and most of them never happened, right? And we live like that always. Self-talk, to me, I would give you the thought. I don't give advice on this, but on anything, but I'll give you my thought of how I approach it. I take actions. I like mistakes, you know, and that's what divides you from success, one decision. And every time that voice, that self-talk, will try always to keep you in safe mode, always in comfort zone. And you grow in an uncomfortable zone, always. That's why there's growth. There is like, it's hot here, it's cold out there. You might hit the cold, and that voice, that inner talk is, no, but you should not go, you know, it's better here. Anyways, you're fine. Why would you go? You know, and that talk can go forever. So what I do for that, I have that talk at 4:30 when I wake up every morning. Like, where are you going? I'm going to start my life. So I step in, I go cold shower first. That voice is gone already. Because when you do cold shower, you can't be anywhere else but here. Because when you do hot shower, everyone has tried that. You're thinking of the coffee. You're thinking, what are you going to do next? And cold shower is like, oh my God, what the heck, right? You think, you're feeling. And there's two things, thinking and feeling, right? Thinking brings you anywhere. Feeling brings you right here. If someone touches you, if Gio touches you now, you come here, right? Even if you've been thinking something else, right? And that's being present. And when you're being present, you should be aiming always to take action, 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 action. That's it. You know, you're gonna fail, who cares? As long as you care, and that's self-sabotage, as you said. We do that. That's the only person that can sabotage you. Your inner conversation that can convince you of anything. Believe me, there has always a reason for anything. Every excuse, you can find it. But find motivation. If he talks to you about excuses or explains you things why you shouldn't do that, fuck you. I'm sorry. Out. And then take action, whatever you gotta do. And that's another thing I would share here. Short, take the decision you have to take. Take it. Who cares? I mean, who cares? The neighbor, the father, the mother, the brother. Just take the decision. Because, like me, for example, I took the hardest decision, one of the hardest decisions, a year and a half ago. I let go of the person I most love, my ex-girlfriend right now. All right? Why? Because of love. Because I had to take that decision. Otherwise, I was holding to something, right? And we both did it both at the same time. And that was the best decision ever. Not because of anything. The relationship was becoming toxic, not because of the person, but because of the thing between us. We have a business together. So that's another thing I can talk about. But what I mean with that is take the decision. It's not bad. There is like darkness. You can always put light on it. So that inner talk, just put it aside every time, and then just take action, and you will understand things through practice, not too much through thinking, through feeling. All right?
Can I add something?
Sure.
So before you even take action, though, there is this little person that's always telling you like, oh, you can't do it, you can't do it, you can't do it, because 95% of your beliefs is in your subconscious mind. So the first thing you need to do is actually first be aware of what are those limiting beliefs that's preventing you from getting, what is it that you don't believe you can do. For me, I was like, there's no way I will make more than 4,000 a month with my business, there's no way. But then once you're aware of it, and first you also have to ask yourself, why do you believe that way? Is it your parents telling you that? Is it society telling you that? Once you understand the root cause, then you need to release it through different techniques, of course, but then constant repetition, telling yourself through mirror work, through sleep meditations, just tell yourself every single day, I can do this, I can do this, until you believe it. There's really something about switching and letting that subconscious mind, like rewiring your subconscious mind. You're a program. We are all like computers, and we just got to change the coding. So.
So just to follow up on Céline, so this is how it's sort of waterfall. Beliefs, thoughts, feeling, actions, habit, your life. Yes. So your belief determines your life. And beliefs shape in the first 7 years of your childhood, including even from your pregnancy of your mother. I mean, I don't promote like, blame your mother. No, they give birth to you, but now it's your responsibility to reparent yourself, right? This is what the inner work is all about. Childhood. I'm sorry, like you have to go back to childhood again, because 85% of your adult brain is shaped the 7 years of your childhood right now. Only 15%. And Bruce Lipton this is the professor who used and doctor as well. He said there's only two things you can reprogram your subconscious mind. Repetition, say that again over and over again, or hypnotherapy. Just go to hypnotherapist, do the reprogramming, regress back to your childhood, reparent yourself, and reframe the narrative. Rewrite the thoughts and the feelings, because it will determine your belief. It will change your action. Trust me, I done it many times. It changed my life. I also now recorded my own voice in meditation, projecting what my life will be like in 10 years. 90% of that achieved in 2 years. Like I quit my job, I didn't have income for 1 year. Like I have a lot of stories to tell, but God, miracle, I don't know how it happened. I think I changed my belief and I take actions. And you just have to rewrite that. Take actions, change the belief. Two-pronged. I think you can't just choose one or the other.
Can I also add to that?
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, Mark. You're so nice. It's like boiling inside. Do you have access to your emotions? Yes. And are they attached to those? Do you feel emotions that come up when you talk to those parts? Are there emotions coming up when talking to those parts, or are you only spinning the stories, or do you also have like a direct?
So, like, what I try sometimes is just let the emotions flow in my body, and that's on my experience. Like, I don't know about the different parts of that. Like, I focus on one emotion that I want to feel or that I need to feel, and then so maybe sometimes I create the story, like my model dies, and then I just flow through the story, or I just stop it.
Okay, thank you for sharing that. Super beautiful, being so open. So whenever you have this emotion, right? So what I'm hearing is that you keep spinning in the same thoughts. Is that true? Yeah. Okay. No?
Yeah, no, like it's so I focus so my way of talking to myself, I focus too much in low level things.
Yeah.
So I know I have a friend who like it's like he's not that intelligent, but I noticed that he's
I hope he's not watching.
I mean that his best characteristic is that he focuses on the high level things. And one thing that I think it is the way I think, the way I talk to myself. So the questions that I make, like there is a problem, I do go to question, and then this is a path where I end up with a lot of time in low-level things.
Yeah.
But there are other kind of paths.
Yeah.
I'm curious, like how I can find it.
Yeah. Okay, beautiful. Okay. And that's, I think, who can relate to that, first of all? Like finding yourself in thought spinning and then the same emotions again and again. And that was what I'm referring to before when I said, okay, bring things to connection, to love, right? And because love is the highest frequency, the highest vibration that we can have, pretty much. It's like, you know, everybody experiences like love. What is love to you? What is love to you? But for me, it's like a place of complete stillness and peace, right? And that's like where everything is just joy and happiness in itself. Everything that I experience. So how do we get there, right? How do you change from going always in this direction into going up, right? How can you do what your friend does, who's maybe not that smart, but apparently he's living a good life. We learn a lot about this like manifestation or visualization, and then we think about, and then we have these affirmations, and I'm good, I'm awesome, I'm strong, I'm powerful, and then we hear this like, I also have a friend who listens to that every morning, like stuff like that, and that's cool, okay? That's very, very cool. It's great, and we have to attach an emotion to that. So we have to bring emotion. Because what you said is right. It's like there's the belief, there's actually another thing underneath, which is the experience that you had as a child. From that comes the belief that you created, and then there's the emotion, and then comes the story. So the emotion is deeper than the story. So we can, when we're super powerful, when we come into a state of power, into this joy, right? That's an emotion. So I have two things for you, two recommendations. So first thing, create who do you want to be, right? And then attach an emotion to that. Write down, who do I want to be? And then you say, okay, I want to be stress-free. I want to, I don't know, have the biggest business in my life, And then how do I want to feel, okay? And concentrate on that feeling. Whenever you come into these loops, you catch yourself and you go into, who do I want to be? But most importantly, how do I want to feel? And then practice that every morning, right? Even without going into these ideas, what you said, I love that in the mornings, you sit down, that's what I do, for example, I do visualization, but with intense feeling, right? So you have to attach that, how do I want to feel when I'm fucking in the power or whatever I want to be, or happy or at peace or something like that. So, okay, do that practice in the morning. Second recommendation, next week I have a masterclass, Expansive Method, come to that, 6 p.m. on Wednesday. Yeah, literally, it's about that, exactly. 6 p.m. on Wednesday, you find it in the Instagram or link. I think I linked my LinkedIn. Come to that, it's next week, 6 p.m. on Wednesday. Come to that, and you will learn more about what actually holds you in those loops and things like that, so you have a better understanding. All right?
Thank you, guys. We have time for one more question.
I think she had a question.
Yeah.
Thank you. First of all, thank you for the beautiful insights, beautiful energies. My question is for Céline. You spoke about menstrual cycle. Not all of us are business owners or work on our own, and we have to work with people, with team, with bosses. And sometimes you just yourself that you have to perform. So how do you bridge that? Your cycle and your innate wishes or your organization wishes that you have to perform every day?
Yes, that is a very good question. Obviously, when you're a business owner, you're a pilot and you could take control of all your activities. But when you're around a lot of people and you're working in a team, also when you're working with other women, they're all in different cycles as well. So you're like, okay, how do I behave? But I would just say, respecting moments when you need to just basically, I think the most important thing is listening to your body. And okay, may I ask what you do for a living?
Now enjoying life.
Enjoying life. Okay, great, amazing. So I don't know, for example, now if you're just you have a lot of free time and you want to work on a specific project, you can channel that, right? But obviously, to answer your question, if you're in a team with a lot of people, it's going to be a little bit more tricky situation. But at least in everything you do, there's times when you should be creative, when times you should be communicating with other people, you'll be doing presentations, you'll be networking. So obviously, sometimes you don't have complete control over that, but at least, during the times when you need to rest, let yourself rest, when you're having your menstrual cycle and so on. It's just being more intuitive with your body, and also integrating it with your exercise as well. Exercise, there's different types of exercise you should do depending on your cycle, and also eating certain foods that are based off your body temperature will also change during your cycle. So you can also adjust your diet. There's a lot of different ways, but yes, that's a very tricky question. I hope I answered the question.
Thank you. The good thing is that we now have 20 minutes to go to the rooftop upstairs. There's some drinks there that you can buy. I think they're that Aticco is providing, super cheap. But also just get some fresh air, connect here with each other. And of course, we're going to be around. So if you have any more specific questions, just come to us. Okay? And other than that, I'm really, really grateful for all of you for showing up. Thank you to these incredible speakers here. And I also want to give a huge shout out to my team who is not here today because we're preparing everything for summer camp tomorrow, summer camp number 2, which is going to be fucking incredible. If you have any questions about it, I think there's 2 spots left. I think we're 30 people going. Really, really nice group. And other than that, thank you again. Thank you for being here. And the rooftop is, I think, on floor number 1. Thank you again to Aticco. Thank you to Pio for putting this together. And I hope you all have a wonderful day.